Okay, today I want to give you some basic words of advice and how to get started and work with Dreamweaver a little bit. In this case, a lot of you have been having problems with just dealing with the files and things like that. So, mostly, broken links, and you've been going through the class, and so what I've done is I put in the CD. Okay, and I think a lot of the problem that you're running into is you're working on one chapter, but the files are drawing or pulling CSS or templates from on the previous chapter. So this is the CD from the book. So what you might want to do is just start new every lesson and not try and pull the data. So, for example, let's use lesson 10, for example, right now. I would copy it off the CD, whatever copy, and then I'm going to put it into a folder on my computer. I got a documents folder, and I have a Dreamweaver folder, and I put my lesson 10 in there. Then I would then go to Dreamweaver and define site to there. So I'm going to open up Dreamweaver here. And so I know where my files are, and I'm just going to go site, new site. So for each chapter, I would make a new site every time. I know it's a pain in the butt to actually have to go and make a new site and then put in all the FTP information over again. But boy, it might be easier than having to deal with broken links and everything. So I don't know what's the easiest way. This might be a better way. And then just type in lesson 10 and then choose my folder. I go to find my folder. If I can find where it is. I don't know how to find there it is, documents folder, Dreamweaver. Oh, here it is, lesson 10. So select that. And once it's selected, then pretty much everything you need to do that chapter is in that chapter, so you don't have to keep pulling from previous chapters. Like, for example, the beginning of this chapter says, well, go to the assets window and bring the assets windows up, and then go to the library option. Here's my library, and they have included the basically revised or good library option in there, and they tell you to right click on it and say new from template, and boom, it makes a new one. Then the book says, and you'll notice right away that you could start seeing how the library is pulling the data from the hard drive. You can see where it says file, C, user, blah, 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 news and stuff. And so you need to start looking at the path and where things are being linked to. And the reason why it's doing this is because this hasn't been saved yet. If I save this file now by going under File, Save As, and I save it as, I think it tells us to save it as travel, you'll notice that then now all the paths to the file up here are all kind of back to normal, and they're going directly to the files that are located within this folder here. And the reason why is because everything is in this folder. I think a lot of the problems is that as far as files not linking and stuff too, is that you're defining a site to the entire CD, and then when you make a new path, you have multiple. Maybe when you go to the assets window, you'll have multiple these from previous chapters, and you don't know which one to do it from. And then when you do it, it starts linking back to the original template that was in a different chapter and things like that. So probably maybe a better way would be to go and just do a chapter at a time. And then I know it's a hard, because you will have to go back to back to that manage sites and go back to that lesson 10 that we just defined. To put it on the server, you'll have to go and go to the server and put in all the server information again, possibly. Well, it might pull it from previous one, but again, you have to put the FTP information and send it. But then again, if you send this whole chapter that you've just gone through and did, it'll actually look proper on this on my server instead of having broken links and things. So again, possibly the best way is not to do what the book says, is define to the all the chapters and start working from there. Maybe just go and do one chapter at a time as you're going through. Now, some of the things that I don't do is I've gotten away from using these templates. I mean, the template thing is nice and fun and all, because it looks like it's easy to manage the website, but in this case, if everything stays the same up here, then it's okay to use a template. And what I mean by everything stays the same up here is if we look at the design, the buttons all stay the same over here because we can't change them, and the buttons up here are the same, and the logo's the same, all that. But with some of the new HTML and the new CSS3 and stuff, a lot of what I do is I'll have like highlights. Like let's look at the one I made over the summer. I'm redoing the digital media website right now, and I'm going to make some videos on how I'm redoing that for you so that you can see that. I don't know if I'll get to them today, but the one I made over the summer, last summer, was the Zircon site. I think you might have seen it already. And over the summer, you'll notice I have this pull-down menu right here. And if you go to a section, like let's say Tools, you'll notice it's white. I know it's hard to see, but it is white. And if we go to, let's say, a product, let's say metal detectors right here, you'll see it's blue. Okay, so this is white and this is blue right here, white and blue. And I can't use a template for this because the menu changes on every page, because I want it to sort of give you feedback. Hey, it's blue, I'm on metal detectors, and hey, it's white, I'm under tools, and this is like a little blue, and you can see that. So if I tried to make a template up here, a Dreamweaver template for the menu up here, you wouldn't be able to adjust it for each and every page. It has to be revised. And I'm using the new HTML5 way of doing that with the current. There's some code called current and things like that. If we look at the page source here, you'll see what I'm talking about here. I'm using lists right here for the menu right there. But as you go through, you'll notice that, and I forget what I was on here. I think I was on, what was I on? How to use. So I'm on the how to here, and I'm looking at the menus up here. So I'm on products right now. If you notice, remember I talked about it being white. See how it's white right now? I'm using the word current here, and this current is then pulling from a CSS to make it white compared to the other ones. And then you'll notice it says class final here for the metal detectors, which makes that blue. And so it changes on every page. So I can't really use a template for this because it's revised every time. So that's sort of, I like the templates. In the older web page we used to have, and I don't have it online right now, but I do have a version somewhere on this computer. Let me look that up. So with the older site that I had, for the Zircon, you'll see I had this pull-down menu right here. And when you would go, and in this case, if we go to metal like we're at right now, it doesn't really tell you where you're at. It doesn't say I'm in tools, I'm in metal detectors. You have to read down here to let you know. But you'll notice nothing really changes. The menu is the same all the time on all the pages. And then the bottom down here where the trademark and copyright is the same on all of them. So if you're doing something like this, it makes sense to use the Dreamweaver template, because it makes it easier to adjust. Like when they wanted to add a new support here, when we were working on some videos, and we made a whole new page called Tip Minutes right here. A couple of years ago we did this. We were adding tip minutes right here. All I had to do was go to the template in Dreamweaver and adjust and add this new link right here, and boom, on all, I think there's a couple thousand pages here, a couple hundred pages here. On all the pages, then it went and adjusted it automatically, just like you would a CSS file. So, if we look at it in Dreamweaver, you'll see here's the page. Again, most of the you can tell it's a template by the grayed out area here. You see even most of the area for the menu here, and all the, you'll see all these down here, is all in a template. And again, it made a lot of sense because I was able to go in there and just make the adjustment in the template to add a new link that I wanted, and it was able to adjust on all the pages. So for a really large site and things like that, makes sense to use templates. And the reason why I'm pointing all those things out is because the book, it keeps using templates and things like that. But you don't need to use a template. I've made many pages without using a template, and so I mean, I think some of the things about the Dreamweaver book is they're trying to show you how great the Dreamweaver application is, but a lot of it is very streamlined, simple things. And so, right now I'm working on making some lessons for us that we can use. I'm trying to redo the digital media website. Um, in the old site, I think you've seen it maybe before. It's not this one, the digital. I don't think I have a bookmark for this, but it's the digital dash media. Oh, digital dash media dot west valley dot edu. This site, and it's really quite complex. There's a lot of pull down. There's a lot of JavaScript in here. There's a lot of CSS in here. And it's really complex, and it's kind of messy, and it's hard to update. So I'm redoing this all. I've already started doing that. And I'm streamlining it. I mean, it doesn't look great right now, but I've been streamlining and building it here, and I'm going to talk about it with you. Some of the things you'll notice is it doesn't, whenever you're working in Dreamweaver, you'll notice a lot of things might not show up, especially when you're trying to do some CSS things. Like I want to have a frame that goes around here that's in the body so that there's a line that goes around the whole web page. And when I'm working in Dreamweaver, you don't see that there. And you're like, oh, why isn't it there? I put it in the CSS. I know it's there somewhere. But when you preview it, like if we preview this in Firefox, you'll see the line is there. So a lot of things that you might not see when you're working in Dreamweaver, especially inside the application, are actually there. It's just they're not rendering properly from the application. I tend to do the preview instead of the there's that live thing somewhere here, the live thing, and it does work, but it doesn't always render properly. This live option right here, especially with different types of browsers. So that does help right there, the live thing, but not necessarily. I tend to use the preview in the browser. Again, I've been working on this, and so the other thing that a lot of people are confused about is they want to use the template because they think they need to do that to build multiple pages. But usually what I do inside of Dreamweaver is I'll just make one page like you see right now, and I'll save this one as my index page, save as index, and then next I want to make the career page. Okay, so here's one that says careers, and I'll make myself a link that goes to careers. Here, let me go up there, and I'm going to go careers.html. That's the page I want this, when the person clicks on this, to go to careers.html. I haven't made it yet, but I want it to go to careers.html. So I'm going to make the link right here, careers.html. I'm going to save that. Then I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to call it careers.html. Put it in the same folder next to my index. And then just delete my text and call it careers. And then just start changing all the content of my site. Different picture here. Okay, let's add a different picture. So we can grab that. Let's choose another picture. I don't think I even have another picture right now. I do have other pictures, but maybe not in the right size. There we go. Woo, way too big. Of course, I would shake it in Photoshop and shrink it down. But you get the idea. What I'm trying to show you right now is that you don't need to use the template in Dreamweaver. You can just make an HTML page. In fact, this is one done in HTML5. Make one the way that you want it to look, with all the buttons and all the rollover, where a picture might be, and all the text. And I'm going to do something over here, a little slideshow JavaScript over here, and the bottom bar and all that stuff. Make one the way that you want it, and then just start saving all the HTML files out from that one. This one I'm going to call news.html, and this one goes right to the West Valley, and this one goes to degrees and certificates, and this one goes to classes. And make yourself a menu bar and just keep saving HTML files. You don't need to use the template from the Dreamweaver application. That will be probably harder and cause more problems in the long run and than just making plain HTML pages link to each other. And that's my word of advice today. I'll try and make as many videos as I can to help you out.